Today we're going to be looking at the OnePlus 6 reviewing things, and we're going to be going over a quick little section of what we're going to be reviewing. So we're going to be looking at some main things, like the specs, the camera, build quality / design of the phone, the performance, battery life, and price, and this whole mini review. And without further ado, I would say let's get started talking about the outside of the phone. Let's get the specs of the OnePlus 6 out of the way first before we really do anything else. So we're going to be, looking at the front and the back of the phone simultaneously, but today, or right now, we're going to be focusing on the back of the phone. And what you'll see from the back of the phone is actually pretty interesting, pretty high quality, and pretty premium. So going over to the camera, it has a larger 16 megapixel camera as well as a dual or under 20 megapixel camera with a 1.7 dual aperture lens and a 2x optical zoom, which is pretty good. Now moving on to the sort of back of the phone in terms of material and stuff, you have actually some really great coatings, which is Gorilla Glass 5 in the cornerings, as well as 6 layers of glass in this red color. It also has an anti-reflective layer that helps it a lot. Well, now with the screen, you're going to get a 2280 by 1080p display, 6.28 inches optic AMOLED display, as well as a bunch of other benefits like the Snapdragon 845, 8 gigs of RAM, 120 gig storage with Android 8.1 with Oxygen OS, and 3300 milliamps of battery. Now moving on to something even better, we can go on to the photo camera. So as you can see from the screen of the mini stapler thing, light and everything works well. As you can see, the flashes on the right and not flashes on the left. You can see how the exposure works for that. I know I shot in vertical, sorry, whoops about that. As you can see from the Dragon, things really light up in terms of the eye and sort of overall detail you can get with the flash on, so I highly recommend at least putting it on auto when we're doing that. Now on to this other stuff, we're going to be showing video. The left one's 1080p, it's probably lagging a little bit here. Hopefully that should fix in editing. Left one's 1080p, right one's 4K. You can definitely see then the 1080p, there looks to be a little bit more motion blur and less tracking, and then the 4K 60 FPS one, it's actually a little bit better in terms of being smooth and more optimized. But that's just the showing. So now we're going to be moving on to the, speed of the phone, because specs are kind of important in these type of phones. After the camera and stuff, I mean, there's also a video before specs of me, it should be playing now, of me actually going over the whole look at the phone, the red of the phone, as well as the anti-glare. But now that video is about done, so we'll go on to the whole spec sheet. So as you can see, the OnePlus 6 is actually really fast. You can go up, down. You can open the app drawer really quickly and slide things, and that's because of the 8 gigabytes of RAM that ends up using to allow it to really just be quick with its movements. Unlike other things like the iPhone 10 stuff, they have around 3 gigabytes of RAM, which is okay, but it's not really good in terms of being able to store sort of recent apps and stuff. So every time you have to go and select your app, it has to reload. Not with the OnePlus 6. Those 8 gigabytes of RAM can really help you in the overall feeling and usability of the device. Okay, now we're going to be looking at sort of the more minute details of the phone, like the battery life and the price, to finish off this mini review thing of this. So, pretty much what's going to happen and show you here is the battery life. The battery life of the phone is a 3300 milliamp, as we've discussed before, but even though that's around the standard milliamp amount for a phone, it actually works really well in terms of being efficient and not just being like a 4000 milliamp that isn't that efficient and sometimes works. This is really efficient, it works well. Battery that will last you through the day, end off like 30-20%, and it will be fine. It runs excellent, running a bunch of games, doing a bunch of that stuff, and it just works well in almost every situation. Also helping that are some of the additional things, not that cuts mainly, just things that improve battery life. For instance, the display not being always on, being lift to display, similar to Apple's wake to rise thing, helps a lot with the battery life, as well as it being AMOLED, which is the standard thing, but not being a like 2K or 4K. 4K screens don't exist for phones. Not being a 2K screen like the Samsung ones help a lot with battery efficiency. And then some other tweaks like the battery saver option that you can enable in the settings, and just other things that really make this battery one of the better ones for this type of phone. Now moving on to the most important thing I think we should know about this phone is the price. Little thing should be coming up on screen now telling you the magical price of this phone and why you should definitely get it. It starts at $530. Now the phone that we've been talking about here, the red one, 8 gigs of RAM and the 120 gigs of storage, is actually $580, but I definitely think it's worth it. The red color just looks amazing. It works really well. The 8 gigs of RAM, as you saw from the performance test, is just mind-blowing. It opens things really fast, and I would highly recommend it. Now, I am aware that there are other phones out there. I'm aware that there's the Pocophone F1 that just got recently released, probably a long time ago by the time this video comes out. and there's other phones like the LG G7 and the Google Pixel line, all that stuff, and they do things a little better. But what you're not going to find in any of those phones is the ability for the software that this phone has to be beat by anything. Software experience you get, the just whole feeling of the phone, especially if you get a nice case for it, it beats out any of those other top tier brand phones. Because what you know is that from this phone, you're getting a very well built, very quality handset phone for the price of what you get. It's absolutely amazing. I would highly recommend it. So next video that we're going to be doing on the channel is actually a couple Apple videos talking about them doing their whole business situation, and then maybe a Fortnite video, maybe a how Fortnite falls. So yeah, if you want to see that and more of that stuff, make sure drop a like, and I'll see you all in the next video.